body was found in a shallow grave, partially decomposed and wrapped in a tarp. Among the remains was a single, cryptic item, a small, faded photograph of a woman and a child, torn in half. What was its significance, and how would it lead to the victim's identity years later? On a cold November morning in 2014, a hiker stumbled upon human remains in a remote wooded area near the small town of Millbrook, New Hampshire. The body was that of a young woman, approximately 25 years old, who had been wrapped in a blue tarp and buried in a shallow grave. There were no visible signs of trauma or defensive wounds, and no personal identification was found on the body. The victim was initially referred to as Jane Doe by local law enforcement. The case quickly became a cold one, with investigators unable to identify the victim or determine the cause of death. The crime scene was a small clearing in a dense forest, approximately 100 meters from a hiking trail. The body was buried in a shallow grave, approximately 50 centimeters deep, with roots and loose soil covering the remains. The blue tarp used to wrap the body was partially decomposed, and fragments of the tarp were found scattered around the grave. No signs of a struggle were visible, and there were no footprints or tire tracks leading to or away from the site. A small, torn photograph of a woman and a child was found near the body, partially buried in the loose soil. The photograph was the only personal item found at the scene. Local law enforcement initiated a comprehensive investigation into the case, employing a range of forensic techniques. The body was exhumed and transported to the state medical examiner's office for a thorough autopsy. The victim was determined to be a white female, approximately 25 years old, with no apparent signs of trauma. Toxicology tests were inconclusive, revealing no recent drug use or alcohol intoxication. Trace evidence from the tarp and surrounding soil was collected and analyzed for potential DNA samples. Digital forensics were employed to search for any electronic devices or digital records that might have belonged to the victim, but no significant leads were found. Entomological analysis revealed that the body had been buried for approximately 6 months before it was discovered, indicating the death occurred around May of that year. The absence of any signs of struggle or trauma led investigators to consider the possibility of a natural cause of death, such as an undiagnosed medical condition or accidental drowning. However, the lack of identification and the cryptic photograph found near the body continued to puzzle investigators. In 2020, the case experienced a significant breakthrough when a forensic genealogist was brought in to assist with the investigation. The genealogist used DNA samples collected from the remains and compared them to public DNA databases. After months of analysis, a potential match was found to a woman named Sarah Thompson, who had a missing persons report filed by her family in 2014. Further genetic testing confirmed that the remains were indeed those of Sarah Thompson, a young woman who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The identification of Sarah Thompson led to a renewed investigation into her disappearance and death. Her family provided additional information and potential leads, including a history of mental health issues and a possible romantic relationship with a man who had a history of violent behavior. The renewed focus on the case resulted in the arrest and conviction of the man who confessed to having buried Sarah Thompson after her disappearance. The forensic evidence, including the DNA analysis and the torn photograph, provided crucial links that ultimately led to the resolution of the cold case. This case underscores the evolving role of forensic genealogy in solving cold cases. The identification of Sarah Thompson through genetic analysis demonstrates the power of combining traditional forensic methods with cutting-edge genetic technologies. The discovery of her remains and the subsequent conviction of her killer highlight the importance of persistence and innovation in forensic science. The unsettling truth is that the fragmented photograph, once a mystery, became the key to unlocking the identity of a woman whose life was cut short years ago.